That wasn't helpful.
Not wrong, you're not wrong.
Wait, so are we live now? So I can see if you're live now.
Yeah. I would not go around where yeah,
well, somebody sure, because wow, it's kind of hard. No, I'm not reading that. I'm just reading it, but it's not.
Good evening, everyone. If I could get some candidates to the front table, we'll get going. Good evening. My name is Brad Kopp. I'll be the moderator for this evening's forum. Can everyone hear me? Yeah, good in the back? Tonight's forum is sponsored and organized by the Hinton District Chamber of Commerce, the Hinton Voice, and the Yellowhead Labour Council. The provincial election will take place on Tuesday, April 16th. This evening, we will have the opportunity to hear from 5 candidates that will be on the ballot in the West Yellowhead riding. The process for the forum is as follows. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to make an opening statement. After opening statements, we're going to go straight in to questions from the floor. If you'd like to ask a question, track down Natalie from the chamber. She has numbers. And we're going to just draw. So if there's more questions in time, it'll be on a totally chance basis that you get to ask your question. Keep your questions brief and to the point. If you're too long-winded, I will make you take a seat at the front table, and we will start the process of registering you as a candidate. In addition, please frame your questions in such a way that all candidates can have a chance to speak to it. If you don't, I will. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer a question from the floor. Candidates, please keep in mind that the audience is here to hear about your party's platform and maybe more importantly, your thoughts on the issues. At around 8:30, we're going to hear closing statements from the candidates. Each will get 90 seconds. And without further ado, I will introduce the candidates in alphabetical order. Paula Cackett, Alberta NDP. Give away, Paula. Christy Gamoka, Alberta Party. Martin Long, United Conservative Party. Paul Paul Lupischuk.
Oh, come on.
I phoned him today to ask the pronunciation. And I think I nailed it.
You nailed it when we talked, yes.
Lupischuk.
Lupichuk, but close.
Lupichuk.
There you go.
Paul is from the Alberta Advantage Party. And Travis Poirier from the Alberta Independence Party. Congratulations to each of you on your decision to run. I wish you all the best this evening and on your campaign trails. So we'll start with opening remarks. There's a timer over here. There'll be 3 minutes allowed. Jarrett will have a green light until there's 15 seconds left. Then it'll go yellow. And on red, I will cut you off. First to make opening remarks, Paula Cackett, the Alberta NDP.
Thank you for that introduction, Brad. Friends, can you hear me? Sorry. Yeah. It's an honor to be here with you on behalf of Rachel Notley. I'd like to acknowledge the Indigenous peoples after whom Yellowhead is named and the Métis who share a deep connection with this land. I'm running for Rachel Notley's team because I share her strong values. I am an emergency nurse at the Hinton Healthcare Centre, and I am able to raise my young family in Jasper thanks to our government's $25 a day childcare program. This election is about your future and who is fit to be your premier. Who do you trust to be your premier? Rachel or Jason Kenney? The election started with us learning how Mr. Kenney cheated his own party members to win the UCP leadership. A scandal that is now being investigated by the RCMP. And that's just how they started. Mr. Kenney's plan for diversification, ignore it. His plan for healthcare, privatize it. His plan for climate change, deny it. His plan for education, cut it. His plan for new infrastructure, toll it. His plan for our democracy, sell it, break it, and lie about it. His plan for minimum wage, lower it. When we took office 4 short years ago, the Sky Palace stood as a testament to politicians putting themselves ahead of you. There were cabinet ministers under investigation and scandal after scandal. Some things just don't change. Jason Kenney and his team want to give big corporations a giant tax cut, one that will cost Albertans a reckless $4.5 billion, and putting funding for your hospitals and schools at risk. By contrast, we didn't build Sky Palaces for ourselves, we built schools for our kids, and we are closer than ever to building a pipeline. Our economy is growing, we cut the small business tax, and we maintained Alberta's $11 billion tax advantage over every other province. And we will be balancing the books by 2023 without making reckless cuts. Rachel is going to diversify our economy. Her plan is the largest investment in Alberta since Premier Lougheed. With more refining, more upgrading, and more manufacturing, over the years to come, it will create 70,000 jobs, generate $75 billion in new investment. Where Mr. Kenney wants Americanized healthcare, Rachel plans to defend our hospitals, invest in 2,000 new long-term care beds to care for seniors and pay for their prescriptions. Where Mr. Kenney wants to cut wages for youth, Rachel will cut poverty for youth. We already cut child poverty in half. One child in poverty is too many. Where Mr. Kenney wants to freeze school funding.
Thank you, Paula.
All right.
Next up, Martin Long, the United Conservative Party.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. It's great to see so many people so engaged and paying attention to the future of our province. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event. My name is Martin Long. I'm the United Conservative candidate for West Yellowhead. I'm the proud husband of a public high school teacher, Vanessa, and father of twins, 1 boy and 1 girl born just 8 weeks ago. I came to Alberta to claim the promise of a better life through the Alberta oil field. I chose to leave the patch when I got the opportunity to work as an operator at Alberta Newsprint Company, which has allowed me to become a third-class power engineer It enables me to be at home more often and more involved in my community. The past couple of years, as I have traveled around West Yellowhead and knocked on thousands of doors, I have found people who are concerned. Whether it is young people looking for their first jobs, families who have taken pay cuts and seen a rapid rise in their cost of living, fixed income seniors who can't make the pension check go as far as it needs to go, or business owners who are barely holding on. They are concerned, and many of them are afraid. Something has changed in Alberta. Some say it's bad luck. Some say it's bad policy. I say it is government that has forgotten that it is supposed to be here to serve and is therefore not listening to its people. It is representing itself. Today, I'm happy to be part of the United Conservative team because we are a group that is creating sound policy and listening to the concerns of Albertans, as evidenced by our innovative policies to get the province working again. The United Conservatives have a bold plan to reignite the economy, create jobs, lower the tax burden on families and businesses, have strong public services, bring justice back to our courts, and improve our environmental performance. A bold yet realistic plan to get Albertans back to work and to stand up for Alberta. We are a group that makes it a priority to listen to the concerns of the electorate, and that is why we are so focused on helping get people back to work. We are determined to ensure that Albertans are better tomorrow than they are today. However, we are not perfect. I am not perfect. Something that you will find with me is that I don't have all the answers. I don't think this job actually requires me to have them all. I think this job is about listening to the people in our communities to find out their needs and then representing those needs to the legislature so we can provide a better future for the people of West Yellowhead. That is what I am determined to do.
Thanks, Brian. Next up, Travis Poirier from the Alberta Independence Party.
Hi, my name is Travis. I am not a politician. I gotta tell you that straight up. I'm not a public speaker. I'm so nervous. I tried to write something down for my time frame and I couldn't get it in the time frame. So I'm just gonna speak from the heart, let you know why I'm here. I voted in every election since I turned 18, because if you don't vote, you don't have a voice. Well, it seems our voices aren't being heard, especially by Ottawa. I joined on literally sitting on the edge of my deathbed. I found out I had a blood infection that I was 2 days from a coma. And well, I hummed and hawed and I thought about turning back over the last few months. Being a man of my word, I just couldn't. Albertans deserve more than Ottawa is gonna give us, okay? We have $40 billion that goes to Ottawa that we don't see back. With that, we can decrease taxes to the point of no tax under $45,000 and only a 20% flat tax on personal income over and above $45,000. That's a considerable savings for lots of Albertans, okay? That and the lowest corporate and business taxes offered in North America, we can do by doing that. We can also offer municipalities, each of the 87 divisions of Alberta could get $36 million a year. That's over and above the medical and schools funding already provided. If you ask about the police and helicopters, or the police and hospitals, we already pay for that out of our own tax dollars. So there's nothing that can't be gained. We can bring back the Alberta advantage permanently for Alberta as an independent nation. It is possible, and now is the time. Sorry, I'm not a man of many words, that's all I really
Thanks, Travis. Christy Gamoka, Alberta Party.
Good evening. My name is Christy Gamoka, and I am your Alberta Party candidate for West Yellowhead. In this election, we are being told we only have two choices. We either care about the economy or we care about people. I reject this premise, and so does the Alberta Party. We can grow our economy, build pipelines, create jobs, and we also can protect the rights of individuals, care for our most vulnerable, provide an excellent education system, and support our seniors. The Alberta is a fiscally responsible and social progressive party. We believe in balance and we believe in common sense. I believe this, and I think the majority of Albertans believe in this as well. The Alberta Party provides the chance for us to look into the future, be creative, be innovative on how we build this province. We want to fight climate change, but not by punishing the people like the current carbon tax. We want to stand up for Albertans in Ottawa by collecting our own taxes and creating our own pension plan, which means that more of Alberta's money will stay in Alberta. We want to come out with we came out with the most comprehensive childcare plan that supports childcare, but also supports the families who choose to stay home with their kids. Our education plan calls for double the amount of educational assistance in the classrooms, and we will fund increased enrollment as it happens and tackle classroom sizes. We are a business-friendly party and want to make Alberta a place for business, to invest, bring back the investment confidence of our area. We will cut corporate taxes by 2% and increase business deductions for small businesses to $1 million. 90% of Albertans are employed by small to medium-sized businesses. This means jobs for us. Specifically, I want to talk about Hinton. I want to talk directly about our forestry plan that will support further research and innovation to an industry that's far too ignored in Alberta. We want to change building codes so that we are using timber products for larger builds. That means more jobs and more opportunity for forestry within West Yellowhead. I am born and I'm raised in this riding. I care about our community and I care about our neighbors. It is an honor to have the chance to be elected to be your representative. And I will work hard to make your voices heard. Thank you.
Thanks, Christy. And Paul Lupachuk.
You got it, dude. Thank you, Brett. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. I'm absolutely thrilled to see this many people in this room, and I'm happy to see a few of my friends from Grand Cache coming down and one or two from Whitecourt. This truly is a remarkable event for me. I had planned to run for the Wild Rose Party in the last election. I missed the nomination by a couple of days, and we all know what happened there. The reality is, a lot has changed in 4 years, but a lot hasn't. We still have Albertans who have needs. We still have Albertans who want health care. We still have Albertans who need seniors care. We still have our youth who need education. We still have schools who have far too many students crammed into a room. My stepson is a teacher in the Lethbridge School Division. He's also an ATA member, sits on the committee, and he's constantly telling me about the challenges that they face with people in those classrooms. I have aging parents. My father is 85 years old. He's on the verge of going into seniors care. We're terrified of putting him in there. We want him to stay at home as long as possible. He's had two heart attacks and he's had a couple of other illnesses. So I empathize with every single challenge that we face here. I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. And just a show of hands, how many saw my BMW outside? Did anybody see it out there? Oh, darn. Shouldn't have said that. People want to know that I'm a real Albertan, that I'm a real person. So how can somebody from the Alberta Advantage Party drive a BMW? Let me tell you, that BMW is 14 years old and cost me $3,000. If that isn't fiscal conservatism, I don't know what is. That vehicle takes me all over this province. It took me here, it's taken me to Edmonton to pick up my signs, it's picked up my flyers. It gets me where I'm going. That vehicle is sturdy, it is reliable, and it's efficient. Just like Albertans are, sturdy, reliable, and efficient. We truly believe in what our tomorrow will bring. And I believe that car will get me home tonight. My other vehicle is also a sports car. It's a 2000 Chevy pickup diesel that smokes like crazy. I have worked in government. I've worked in law enforcement. I've been a teacher. I taught at the University of Calgary. I've taught at Nathan State. I've worked in government. Did I say I was in law enforcement? I spent a few years there. I've worked in agriculture. I grew up on a farm. I've worked as a truck driver, I've been in forestry, I've been in oil and gas, I'm still in oil and gas. So when you look around these amazing people up here with these amazing skills, not only look at the party platform, and my friend Travis says we need to bring back the Alberta Advantage, and I absolutely believe that's true. Alberta Advantage, everyone. I really and firmly believe that he clicked and he disturbed me. I really and firmly believe that you need to look at the candidate as well as the party. Thank you.
Okay, we've heard from all the candidates. It's now time for some questions from the floor. I'm going to pull two numbers right now. Obviously, the first number can come up to the front, ask their question, and then I'll draw a second number as well. So when we're getting to the tail end of the answers, the second number that I draw can start making their way to the mic. So the first lucky number, these could have been a little bit bigger. Don't put it in your pocket because you'll never find it. Number 5.
I lost it.
Oh, wait. No, we got a cheater already. Shirley.
I'm a witness.
Okay. As long as no one else claims to have number 5, we'll let Shirley. And then after number 5 will be number 4. Shirley Caputo.
Thank you. My question is, the lowest demographics of the age that vote is the 18 to 24-year-olds. My question is, how are you going to get more of those people out to vote?
Thanks, Shirley. Okay, so the first to answer this question, Martin Long, the United Conservative Party.
Thank you for your question, Shirley. People who know me know I have a major passion for youth. I've been youth leader for a number of years, coached hockey, and for me, it's such an important demographic to engage. What I've heard from youth that I've talked to over the last few years is they're very concerned about their future, whether it be their education or their jobs. To me, the ones that I'm working with currently at Alberta Newsprint, they're paying attention to that as well. We as a party are going to be engaging them with a common sense platform that makes sense for them to get work. We have a lot of our platform is based on skills and trades, which we know are vital for the future of our province. And for me, it's a natural platform for them to be engaged to come out and vote.
Thanks, Martin. Next up, Paul Lupachuk, the Alberta Advantage Party.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you for the question. Questions about our youth are always one that's so incredibly important. The reality is our youth is often forgotten when it comes time for election. We have, in our party, a significant number of youth involved. We've got 18-year-olds, we've got 20-year-olds, we have college students involved with us. We also have a party leader who has 4 kids who've got, I don't want to call them kids, but children who have children of their own. This is where it starts, this is where it begins. We can start with sharing our vision with our youth, getting people involved. Once we get a demographic involved, they stay involved. We've got all sorts of teachers involved in our group. Our message continues to grow wherever we go. And when you start talking about values and we start talking about vision and we start talking about honesty and integrity, the youth have something to hold on to and something to recognize as being part of themselves.
Thanks, Paul. Christy Gamoka, the Alberta Party.
Those darn millennials, eh? I've actually spent a little bit of time researching this project, and I've taken a couple of courses on it as well. The majority of millennials, they want their fiscal house in order, but they're also really passionate about environment, and they're passionate about how we take care of people. And from what I can see, I think that it's our fault that the millennials are not engaging, because we're not providing them politics in a way in which they feel engaged. And so what I think we need to do is look at exactly how they want to be engaged and start reflecting it back in the terms of the way that we do policy and the way that we do politics. And I can tell you that all of this mudslinging, that's not what they want. And every time we do it, we just push one more millennial away from the table. Thank you.
Thanks, Christy. Travis Poirier, the Alberta Independence Party.
Thank you. I think that the kids nowadays, they don't get anything unless it's in an anime or something, right? But the way I think we can get them more involved and willing to vote is our tax programs and our ability as an independent Alberta to pay for full schooling through the first 4 years of university for every citizen of Alberta, not just the 18 to 25-year-olds. So that would be a big benefit for them to want to come out and vote, I think. Sorry.
Thanks, Travis. And Paula Cackett, Alberta NDP.
Thanks for your question. It's very important for me to get the youth out and thinking about this, whether they're ready to vote or not. Door knocking has been very successful for us in getting the youth involved, speaking to their parents and them coming to the door, and we're encouraging them to have these political discussions around the dinner table and get the youth involved. We also have some of the youngest MLAs in cabinet now, and they are inspiring to me. And I'm not much older than some of these 18-year-olds, so I was once there and I'm here now. So I will continue to encourage them to come forward and meet them at the doors and within the schools.
Thanks, Paula.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Shirley. Number 4, and introduce yourself very quickly. Tell us who you are, and I'll just pull the next number after 4. I'm gonna guess, I'll bet 3. 7.
Hi guys, my name is Braden. I'm from here in Hinton. And my question to you, I'm very concerned about Jason Kenney's plan to privatize healthcare. And I don't look forward to an Alberta with American-style healthcare where I have to pull out my credit card instead of my health card at the hospital. So my question to you is, what will you do to keep healthcare public?
Thank you. And the first to speak to this question, Travis Poirier, the Alberta Independence Party.
With an independent Alberta, healthcare will stay public. Everything will be public. There will be increased spending in healthcare beyond your wildest imaginable dreams. Everything that you want for healthcare will be spent and bought for by the government for the people, because we'll have billions of dollars to go with for healthcare alone. So that would be a non-issue with the Alberta Independence Party. It definitely would not be a private healthcare.
Thanks, Travis. Paula Cackett, the Alberta NDP.
Our government has already shown to put money into our hospitals. We are funding dialysis programs and building new hospitals. It's very important to us that it doesn't become privatized, because Albertans, our people, are very important to us, and we need them. As a nurse, this is really difficult for me. I just can't imagine having to talk to patients and see them sorry. Our government will keep putting money into hospitals and making sure that they stay public.
Thanks, Paula. Paul Lupacek, the Alberta Advantage Party.
Thank you very much. And Braden, what a great question, and such an important question. The reality is, every single person in this room needs health care. And our party is aware of that. What's really important about my party is I get a free vote. We, in our policy and our constitution, are very clear about our free vote. So when it comes time to whichever party gets in power, and I make absolutely no assumptions that we will get there, we won't be in power. We could be the official opposition with the number we have, but that's not the point. I get a free vote. So if Mr. Kenney says we are going to privatize healthcare, I get to say, hold on, I don't vote for that. And we're going to put forward private members' bills that are going to see decentralization of specialty needs. For example, why does Hinton not have a burn unit? Why do we have to go to Edmonton for orthopedics? Why do we have to go to Edmonton for dialysis? Why does the bus have to come here? Decentralization of those special programs is what's necessary, and that's what I will be voting for.
Thanks, Paul. That's our current MLA whose phone just rang.
She's retired now, it's okay.
Eric. Next up, Martin Long, the United Conservative Party.
Thanks, Braden, for the question. This is something that I have been so pleased to talk to people at the doors about. A lot of people are not aware, but the United Conservatives have signed a guarantee for healthcare funding that we will maintain or increase healthcare funding for a publicly funded, universally accessible healthcare system. The other part of that I love talking to my nursing friends about is something that you'll find a lot of in our platform, and that is engaging frontline staff and engaging stakeholders. My nurse friends are so excited to hear that their opinions are going to be valued to help find savings in the healthcare system and then reinvest those dollars to frontline staff as well.
Thanks, Martin. And Christy Gamoka, Alberta Party.
One, the Alberta Party has no interest in a two-tier system, and in no way do I think that people with money should get in line before people who don't, period. Two, the Alberta Party also wants to decentralize Alberta Health Services. So again, we can go to the authorities, and we as a region can start to have some more say of what happens to our healthcare, how we spend our money, and what we do with it. So it's a little bit more of our own to deal with things.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Christy. Thanks, Braden. Okay, next question 7, and I'll draw the next number.
Hi, my name is Carol Reed. My question is, what will you be doing to protect workers' rights? I hear the UCP will change labor laws to pay straight time for overtime.
Thanks, Carol. And the first to speak to this question, Christy Gamoka, the Alberta Party.
The Alberta Party has no intentions on rolling back any of the labor laws that have just been put into place. We're quite happy with them, and we want to support workers through that. We also have no intentions on rolling back minimum wage for young workers either, particularly because, you know, a 17-year-old, you may think he's underage, but a 17-year-old is also saving up for post-secondary. And so those kids need an opportunity to also save and be part of our economy. Thank you.
Thanks, Christy. And the next question will be question number 6. Travis Poirier, the Alberta Independence Party.
I guess our party's official statement on that would be, we don't have one. Due to the fact that, well, everything in a free Alberta, once the referendum has passed, will be put to the people of Alberta to decide on what they want. It will be Alberta for the people, by the people. And any government interference in your lives, as little as possible. But I do not agree with Jason Kenney's stance in my personal belief.
Thanks, Travis. Paula Cackett, Alberta NDP.
Our party stands to work for workers' rights, and we will protect all workers. We are union strong, and unions do help protect workers. We will continue to be union strong, and we also were the ones that increased minimum wage to 15, helping support those youth and other people in the service industry making minimum wage.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paula. Question, or the 6th, number 6 didn't want to ask their question, so number 3 will be next. Next up, Paul Lupachuk.
Thank you, Brad. And thank you, Carol, for the question. Workers' rights are very important. I spent a lot of years with the AUPE when I was a government worker. I was a delegate at the AUP convention, which was absolutely a remarkable experience, seeing thousands of people in the same room, pull them in the same direction. And I thought that that was what true democracy is. That's what Albertans believe in, is pulling in the same direction. Whether you believe in unions or not is irrelevant. It truly is important to pull in the same direction, collaborating to make amazing things happen. You asked about workers' rights. There are very few things in this province that are more important than workers' rights. Every single worker, I don't care if you're a farmer, I don't care if you are a construction worker or a police officer, you deserve to go home in the same condition that you went to work. And as a government, as a member of government, I will do everything I possibly can to make sure that our brothers and our sisters, our father and our children get home. And that will be in policy, and I will vote for that each and every time.
Thanks, Paul. Martin Long, United Conservative Party.
Hi, Carol. Thank you for your question. Actually, when I heard about the misinformation that was being spread about the straight time to overtime, I was kind of shocked, because I work in a workplace where just a short time ago, when it was announced that banked hours would have to be paid out at time and a half as opposed to straight time, like the agreement that has been across Alberta, the employees were upset. I work with people who would rather have time off than overtime in certain circumstances. So for me, the misinformation that is going out there about this being something about rolling back overtime pay, I would encourage people to look at our platform a little more closely, but it certainly is not that. We do stand for workers' rights.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's good to know.
Thanks, Martin. Thanks, Carol, for the question. Next up.
Hi, my name is Lou French. I'm a senior, and my wife and I are news junkies, so we watch TV a lot. And you know, until tonight, I never hear any of the parties talk about seniors and what they're gonna do for seniors and what they're not gonna do for seniors. I say shame on all the parties for not thinking of seniors, because someday you're gonna be one, and then you'll know what it's all about. Thank you.
Lou, can we get a question out of that?
What will you do for seniors?
Fair enough, and a good question. Okay, first to speak, Paul Lupachuk, the Alberta Advantage Party.
Thank you, Lou. And your statement is very heartfelt, and I think that it rings true for a lot of people right now. The question is, what are we going to do for seniors? When I was running for town council a number of years ago in Hinton, my father had a heart attack right in the middle of it. And that really struck me hard. And the question was, what are we going to do for seniors? We have seniors facilities that are crumbling. We don't have proper health care for our seniors. We don't have proper medical care or drug care for our seniors. What are we going to do? I'm an advocate for getting third-party funding for seniors centers. We've got places like the Pengrove Saddledome, I don't know what it's called now, but companies like Pengrove are spending millions of dollars on huge sports facilities advertising. Why are we not giving massive tax breaks to those types of businesses so they can start funding businesses for seniors care? And I would be putting forward a bill to make something like that happen. Seniors, they built this country, and they deserve each and every ounce of respect and care that we can give them.
Thanks, Paul. The Scotiabank style, though.
That's right.
Christy Gamoka, the Alberta Party.
Thanks, Lou, and I agree with you. I don't think that we've been spending enough time talking about seniors, and I really hope that that changes in the next 2 weeks. The conversations that I've had with seniors on the doors, and I also have knocked on thousands of doors, is that seniors are feeling the economic crunch. That there's always the increase from groceries to taxes to, you name it, gasoline. That affects our seniors more than it affects any other demographic, and we need to pay attention to that. We also need to look at things around age in place, so we have enough facilities that people can retire in and live in, that is places that we really want to send our loved ones to. And that's something that the Alberta Party is very interested in. So my short answer is that when we have a good economy, it helps seniors. Thank you.
Thanks, Christy. And Martin Long, United Conservative Party.
Thank you, Lou. Everyone who knows me knows how passionate I am for seniors. It absolutely rips my heart out when I go to a fixed income senior home and they tell me how much a carbon tax is taken away from their money every month. That they're paying $40 and $50 extra in home heating costs, that they're turning down their heat at night to compensate. And then we all know that pension checks don't go up that rapidly. Across West Yellowhead, we have a number of communities that are facing dire circumstance for seniors. We need better home care, we need better senior facilities in places like Hinton, Grand Cache, Whitecourt, and East Yellowhead. And that is going to be something I'm going to be advocating very strongly for.
Thanks, Martin. Paula Cackett, Alberta NDP.
Thank you for your question. Seniors are very important to our government, and we have been putting money into home care services as well. Rachel Motley has just released information that any senior earning less than $75,000 a year will now have their prescription medications covered. As a nurse, I know this will benefit a lot of seniors in Alberta, and they will no longer have to choose on paying for their medications or buying groceries. We also have word that we are going to open another 2,000 long-term care beds. And we will continue to fight for our seniors.
Thanks, Paula. Just before Travis, number 2 will be next. So the next to speak, Travis Poirier, the Alberta Independence Party.
Thank you for the question, sir. Besides increased funding in healthcare to the point that will all but eliminate or completely eliminate any wait times on anything major, we will be increasing the Alberta pension plan will increase what is now the Canadian pension plan. It will all but just over double what a pension will receive with an independent Alberta. Above that, we will be able to end the GST and there will be no carbon tax. So that's a significant savings, well, not just for the elderly, but for all of Alberta.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Lou, for the question. Al.
Hi, Al Steineman. One of the hot button topics that I've been hearing is carbon tax. What's each of your party's positions on carbon tax, and how do you justify it with the feds imposing on the provinces that don't have a carbon tax? Thank you.
Thanks, Al. Paula Cackett, Alberta NDP.
Thank you for your question, Al. There will be a carbon levy. It's legislated federally, like you said. Either we choose the Alberta solution that our government is doing, and we name where the projects that are built with the funds, or we have it imposed by Ottawa. Right now, the provinces that refuse to impose one themselves, just today, one was implemented for them. So that's Ontario, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and New Brunswick. Now they lose the ability to choose where their money goes, what projects it funds. We've put in money with the carbon levy, and now is paying for really big projects like transit in Calgary and Edmonton and LED lighting on highways.
Thanks, Paula. Martin Long, United Conservative Party.
Our party has been extremely clear on our stance on the carbon tax. We don't think it's okay to impose extra taxes on any family, business, or otherwise. It's punishing people across our province. And today, obviously, we hear on April 1st that the federal government will impose. We need to have a government in our province that will be willing to stand up against the federal government. We need a government here that will fight for the future of Albertans and not just stand back and sit idly while the federal government imposes things like that cripple our families.
Thanks, Martin. Travis Poirier, the Alberta Independence Party.
Not only will there be no carbon tax in an independent Alberta, we will cut almost all taxes in at least by half for all citizens and all businesses in independent Alberta. A prosperous future is possible.
Thanks, Travis. Christy Gomolka, the Alberta Party.
The Alberta Party will be eliminating the carbon tax from individuals, families, farms, small businesses, and it will only be on heavy emitters. The money made from heavy emitters will go back into finding environmental ways of making some of our industries more environmentally friendly. On a personal note, I can tell you that I have spent the winter with a toque in my house while I'm in my house, and a sweater on and a blanket on, because that's how much I refuse to turn up my heat. We are a family who are avid recyclers. We recycle everything, we compost. So if the carbon tax is about changing behaviors, I am here, Al, to tell you that I have done everything to change my behavior, and yet I am still paying a carbon tax. And there are people out there who still are not doing any of that. And I don't think that's fair. I think that there's ways in which we can make each one of us responsible and change our behaviors, but it doesn't have to happen through a carbon tax.
Thanks, Christy. And before Paul, I'll just announce number 8 for the next question. And Paul Lupachuk.
Thank you, Brad. Al, you asked a very interesting question in the closing of your time at the mic. You said, what is your justification for the carbon tax? Sir, I have no justification. I think it is reprehensible. I absolutely think that that is a hardship that the federal government has placed on Canadians and Albertans specifically because of our use of carbon fuels to heat our homes. We have other jurisdictions in Canada that use electricity are not hit nearly as hard as we are. Our party's position is we are going to get rid of that carbon tax. It will take some time. Our party's position is we cannot dig out the carbon tax the way it is currently set up by the NDP in our first year. We can't make that happen. I wish we absolutely could, because I'd love to see it gone. But we have to do it over a stretch of 3 years, but we will work putting forward private members' bills, voting for bills that require the removal of that tax, and we will do everything we can to make it happen. And we'll continue to bring our voice to Ottawa, saying this is unfair to Albertans, and we need to get
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you all for your responses.
Thanks, Al. Number 8.
Hello, my name is Mark, and my question is regarding the economy. A diverse economy with industry, manufacturing, resources, finance, education is a stable and long-standing economy. The present economy of Alberta is largely resource-related, whether it be oil or forestry, and I want to know what, I mean, it's all good and fine to have these construction jobs for the mega projects that are going on, but they're all construction jobs that are temporary. That's why trades, although a few tradesmen are kept on at each project, they're overall, we need to diversify. What will your party do to help bring Alberta into a more stable economic environment?
Thanks for the question, Mark. And the first to speak is Martin Long, United Conservative Party.
Thanks for the question, Mark. I wholeheartedly agree that we need to diversify our economy. This last few years has been devastating in Alberta. Our party is committed to cutting red tape and actually attracting business back to our province. We just recently scored an F on a scorecard across Canada, the lowest grade possible for being over-regulated in our province. It is very difficult to attract business and industry and diversify our economy when people don't feel welcome to come into our province. Our stance on the carbon tax as well has profound impact on attracting other industry and business to our province.
Thanks, Martin. Paul Lupachuk, the Alberta Advantage Party.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that question because one of the challenges that I've seen in governments over the past X number of decades is the propensity for picking low-hanging fruit. And we all know what that means. We bring in big business, we get big taxes, we pick the low-hanging fruit, we don't care about the little guy, we don't care about diversification, we don't care about making our province as wide a stable environment as we possibly can. We cannot allow low-hanging fruit to be picked anymore. We need to start creating microgen systems like we can do on some of these abandoned wells. Let's lower some taxes. Our party is talking about lowering our tax to 10.5, a flat tax across the board from where it currently is. We're looking at a 3-year moratorium on some development taxes. We're talking about giving bursaries and grants to companies that are come in and help with creating small businesses and small jobs that are going to grow our economy. We have so much going on in this West Yellowhead that we need
Thanks, Paul.
to diversify more.
Thanks, Paul. Christy Gamoka, Alberta Party.
So I have to say that one of the most exciting parts of the Alberta Party platform for me so far is some of the stuff around small and medium-sized businesses and how to bring investment back into Alberta, which is a priority for us. We can talk about pipelines, but until we bring confidence, investor confidence back in this province, it's going to be a struggle. One of the things that we want to do is we want to attract businesses of over 250 employees, and if they hire Albertans, we will give them a tax break for the first couple of years that they set up in Alberta. That's the way to bring investment back into Alberta. We're also looking at reducing the corporate tax and looking at ways to take some of the burden off of small businesses as well.
Thanks, Christy. Travis Poirier, the Alberta Independence Party.
Thank you. Could you repeat the questions, or I might just blank?
What would your party do to diversify the economy so we can get out of these ups and downs?
Yes. I believe that what Alberta really needs, besides a pipeline, obvious, would be refineries and factories. So we can refine our oils ourselves and ship finished products to the world easily by rail or truck. Right? On top of that, we're going to be able to offer a 8.5% flat tax for Alberta-based businesses and a low 9% flat tax for international businesses looking to do a business in Alberta. So that'll grow the economy basically overnight, one would hope.
Thanks, Travis. And Paula Cackett, Alberta NDP.
Thank you for your question. Alberta had the fastest growing economy within Canada in the last year. Rachel Notley and the NDP were dealt a really tough hand, getting elected just as the price of oil dropped. But she's done a good job since they were elected, and we've been protecting healthcare, education, and diversifying our economy. We've been building schools, hospitals, and roads that have been badly neglected, giving workers good jobs. We've actually added 80,000 full-time jobs, and Alberta will lead the country in growth this year, like I've said. We are diversifying our economy through a Made in Alberta plan that is slating to bring $12 billion of private investments to the province. These new projects will process more oil and gas resources here in Alberta, keeping more jobs here at home. Thank you.
Thanks, Paula. Number 11. Number 11. Yep. And next, after 11, 9.
Thank everyone for showing up. Thanks for organizing it. My name is Alec Reevy. I own a local business, and it's quite small, but I make a living at it. Pardon me. I guess first I want to make a comment, and that is that I think there's a very large pink elephant running around the room that nobody pays attention to in terms of provincial politics. Less than 20 people own over 90% of the world's wealth. So that has a big effect on the power of any government. that 90% of wealth is determined a whole lot of things. We've had false flag, 911, you can take a look it up, people may deny it, but the evidence is there. You can look at architects and engineers for 911 truth. They're suing the FBI for not bringing evidence forward. There's a number of other things that are influenced by that fact. 911 was used to launch a war of terror, in my opinion, not a war against terror.
Question?
So it's coming. The long-term effect of that kind of wealth has been to implement policies that have affected Albertans. One of those was to reduce the price of oil deliberately to cripple economies of other nations that didn't go along with a particular agenda for that wealth wants to implement. So,
question.
Braden is the next moderator when I retire from this job. Braden.
I'll take it.
Sorry, I got kind of off the topic here in my head.
Go ahead with your question, please, Alex.
So, my question would be to do with how within Alberta, do you intend to try and deal with these things, take them to a national level and bring them effectively into how we deal with that kind of effect in our economy? Because Alberta is basically collateral damage when it came to the price of oil. It wasn't determined by any government anywhere. It was determined by wealth across Canada, United, or across the world.
So the question?
I just asked, how are they going to deal with this situation? What, within the Alberta politics, each one of you will do, what ideas have you got to try and address that kind of power?
Candidates? First up, Travis Poirier, the Alberta Independence Party.
Well, to deal with the low world price of oil, as I said in the one of the previous questions, we will just have to diversify into refineries and factories and start selling finished products, not the raw materials. And that'll open up sales and ideas that we've never known before as Albertans, being the refinery-based side of, the resources-based side of Canada. But I believe refineries and factories would be the way to go with that problem.
Thanks, Travis. Paula Cackett, Alberta NDP.
Thank you for your question. I heard that you're a small business owner. I just wanted to touch on our government is doing lots for small business, and I agree that Hinton's diverse economy is the home to many small businesses serving residents, tourists, and industrial markets. They are the backbone to our province and our communities across Alberta. Our government reduced the small business tax by 1/3. Instead of giving large corporation tax cuts, we want to support those small businesses. We don't want to spend a reckless amount of money putting our education and health funding at risk. The UCP is saying, Jason Kenney is saying that he will spend $4.5 billion to give big corporations a giant tax cut.
Thanks, Paula. Paul Lupacek, the Alberta Advantage Party.
Thank you, Brian. Now, look, the reality is, anytime any jurisdiction builds their economy on a commodity that is worldwide in use, you are going to suffer from fluctuations in the worldwide market, period. Our economy is significantly dependent on oil and gas. Therefore, we are always going to be subject to those influences. The only way to remedy that, the only way to mitigate those types of influences is to diversify our province in industries that are not influenced by world markets. We have amazing universities in Edmonton that can do research and development. We've got our oil here. Why are we not looking at ways of creating buildings with 3D printers? We've got all of the products here. We've got the skills and the talent. Well, maybe we could start doing 3D panels for our vehicles.
Thanks, Paul. Martin Long, United Conservative Party.
Thanks for the question, Alec. Vivian Krause has done extensive research on where funding is coming from to actually shut down our borders, and I'm glad that you brought that up tonight. We've spoken extensively about how we're going to fight against the advertising that's against our province. We'll set up a war room to, in real time, advertise back and stand up for Albertans. We're not going to do business with those who are purposely funding the fight against Alberta and landlocking our province with our resources. And one thing I think we need to be very clear of is we will not hire activists to sit on the Alberta Energy Regulator. We'll actually fire them.
Thanks, Martin. And Christy Gamoka, Alberta Party.
By the time it gets to me, I always forget the question, but I think I got it. The Alberta Party, a few months back, started talking about the prices of oil, but specifically it started talking about why we are not pressuring our own country to use Alberta oil. The majority of Eastern Canada is using oil from other countries. And we started looking at pressuring Ottawa to put a $2 per barrel surcharge on oil that we were bringing in from other countries. Why? Because our oil is environmentally, we have high environmental standards. We are bringing in oil from other countries that do not meet the same environmental standards. And if we start making our oil, if Canada starts using our oil, then that helps Alberta out as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Christy. And number 9, and then number 10.
My name is Linda Johnson, and I too am very interested in senior issues and across the province. And Sarah Hoffman was out here announcing long-term care beds for Hinton, but we're still supportive living. And by having supportive living, and their health issues are beyond that, we do not have the staffing in place, and that's and talking to Public Interest Alberta, which I'm on, across the province, this is an issue. Because you're making these people that they're better than they are, but they're needing the people to feed them, to change them, and our staff are running, and they're not being taken care of as they should be. Even up here now, there's not the staff to look after them, and I see that, and I see the poor staff. They're trying hard, but they just can't do it by putting them to bed or even turning like over or whatever. It's just a matter of hurry, hurry, hurry kind of thing, and I'm up there a lot. And so to me, that is a big issue. And plus, if you have a husband and wife, say you just have a wife in that facility and the husband's at home and he's having to pay the taxes and pay all the bills there and food and stuff, and then pay $2,500 or whatever, 25, and they have to get legally separated in order to make ends meet after 60 years. This was, to some of them that I talked to, it was like I never knew I'd end up having to get a divorce in order to live. And that is a crime as far as I can see. They've been married 60, 50, late 56 years, and I know these people. And the question is about the right care in the right places when they need it.
Thanks, Linda.
Okay.
First to speak is Christy Gamoka, the Alberta Party.
I remember the question now. I'm first. My parents are aging, and I love them dearly, and they love me dearly, but I can tell you that I don't want to live with them, and they don't want to live with me. I believe in aging in place. I believe that we also need to look at extended care. We need to look at all of those things, Linda, that you were talking about, but we also need to look at things like home care and the ability for people to stay in their homes if that is the choice that they make. And we have to start respecting what our seniors want and how they want to age. It shouldn't be a prescription. it should be something that people get to choose. Thanks for the question, Linda.
Thanks, Christy. Travis Poirier, the Alberta Independence Party.
Thank you for your question. I really have no words on that. It touches my heart so deeply that I'm taken aback. I can honestly say with the increase in the pension plan payments will help a lot for seniors in that situation, as well as there will be drastic increases in the medical spending by the Alberta government for Albertans. So you can be certain that home care will be greatly subsidized, a lot more than it is now, for sure.
Thanks, Travis. Paula Cackett, Alberta NDP.
Hi, thank you. I've seen it myself. I know that nurses and healthcare workers are worked really hard, and we don't always have the support and staff that we need to give them appropriate care. Like I said, 2,000 new long-term care beds are coming, and we are committed to increasing our funding and continuing to put our efforts into our seniors. You will see more.
Thanks, Paula. And Paul Lupachuk, the Alberta Advantage Party.
Thank you, Brad. Linda, this is kind of hard for me because my parents are in the same situation, as are some very good friends of mine. Graham has Parkinson's. He is in a long-term care facility, pays $6,000 a month for that care. They've wiped him out financially. I absolutely understand. It is reprehensible in this world. There is no way that should occur. As I mentioned before, we will be looking for mechanisms for corporate funding for healthcare facilities for seniors. I would also like to put forward a plan for joint living. There is no way, absolutely no way, that husband and wife should live apart. And we should be finding ways to get our nursing students, our students who want to care for our seniors and our citizens, to live in those facilities, not just do their practicum for a few months, but actually have rooms in there while they're going to university and live with those people.
Thanks, Paul.
Sorry.
Martin Long, the United Conservative Party.
Hi, Linda. When I first heard of the divorce by nursing home that you mentioned, it tore me apart. That we cannot figure out in our legislature how to put politics aside and look at the people that are affected by these decisions, that people have to do that so they can continue to live in their home while their partner, as you say, for 60 years is put in a home. It just astounds me. And believe me, I have that already in my bank of things to be an advocate for, but our party in the short term is going to increase palliative care and hospice care and make sure that people are more aware of those for medical care. Thank you.
Thanks, Martin, and thank you, Linda. Number 10, we'll just do this now before you start. 13. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming out tonight. I've been teaching for just about 15 years in both a high school and elementary setting, and what I've noticed over my career is that class sizes are increasing. And what we're really seeing is there's a lot of more complex needs, and in the last few years I've noticed an increase in violence towards teachers and staff. So my question is, how will your party work to ensure that classrooms are safe and supportive spaces for all stakeholders, and how will your party work to make inclusion work for, how will your party work to make inclusion work to ensure student growth?
Thank you. Safe and inclusive classes, Paul Lupachuk, Alberta Advantage Party.
As I mentioned, my stepson is a teacher, and that's one of the questions that he and I discuss on a regular basis is his coded students. And this is a very delicate subject that I don't think there are really any true answers for. We need to have better education facilities we need to have more staff that support our teachers, and we need to find ways of letting the teachers leave the classroom and not have policies that dictate to them what to say and how to treat their kids. We've seen this more and more over the years, and our teachers and our parents are the ones who know best what our students need, and not just cramming them into some room like sardines in a can. We need to find more room, more support, and we need to fund that.
Thanks, Paul. Christy Gamoka, the Alberta Party.
I'm extremely proud of the Alberta Party's stance on education. We came out of the gate with it, and I've heard lots of good positive stuff from teachers and administrators at the doors. We are proposing that we double the amount of educational assistance in classrooms. We understand that inclusion is important, and we understand that teachers have the best interest of their students, but there just is more need than what can be handled by the current system. Many years now, we have been talking about decreasing classroom sizes, and as we talk about it, classroom sizes continue to grow, and we have to figure out a way in which we can combat that, because I live in Edson, and our kindergarten classes are at 28, 29 students. That's tough. That is tough to put a little child in. The other thing when we talk about inclusion that we also want to do is we want to do a separate agency for testing. So some of these kids who are coming in with complex needs are coming into the school with a comprehensive plan of how we can deal with it.
Thank you, Christy. Martin Long, United Conservative Party.
Thanks for the question. My wife was going to have a class of 40 kids this year in high school science. Astounds me that no matter how much money we continue to put into education, it doesn't seem to get to the front lines where it belongs. And when we announced in our platform that we would maintain or increase education funding as well, we didn't stop there. We said that we were going to engage with frontline staff to find the inefficiencies, to figure out how we can get that funding to the front line where it belongs. We need more teachers, we need more teachers' aides, and the only way we can do that is by paying attention and engaging those staff to figure out where they see the inefficiencies and help them get those resources.
Thanks, Martin. Paula Cackett, the Alberta NDP.
Thanks for your question. I know it's really important with my kids coming up to school years shortly. I am passionate about this discussion. Because mom and dad's parents like myself, we shouldn't have to worry whether our kids are getting the support they need and whether the staff have the support they need. Rachel Nolley just refuses to cut funding to education. We invested in 244 new schools, all types across the province, and we made sure that there were an additional 4,000 new teachers and support staff for our growing classrooms. We also recently released that we'll be hiring an additional 1,000 staff members, teachers in the upcoming fall, and we will continue to push forward with making class sizes smaller. If I was so fortunate to be elected, I will continue to advocate for this.
Thanks, Paula. And Travis Poirier, the Alberta Independence Party.
That's okay. I was hoping he was going to forget me. I'm not very well versed on our education platform per se, but I do know there will be large increases in spending in education. There'll be new modern schools built, as well as upgrading and modernizing our existing schools. So that'll be more classrooms, meaning more teachers, smaller class sizes, and a safe working environment in a modern, 21st century environment. So it should be better, more enjoyable for both teachers and students.
Thanks, Travis. Number 13, oh, there she is, Tracy.
Hi, my name is Tracy, and my question is this. A federal parliamentary budget report came out, and we estimate that we will be $100 billion in debt by 2021. All of these programs that we're talking about are great, but how are we going to get out of debt? And how are we going to pay for all these services we're talking about?
Thanks, Tracy. Paula Cackett, Alberta NDP.
Our government has decided to build instead of cut and hire instead of fire, and we are well on track to have the books balanced by 2023.
Thanks, Paula. Martin Long, the Alberta, what are you again? United Conservative Party. Pretty good.
Is that even allowed?
Well, I'll take a dig at everyone now.
Thank you, Tracy, for the question. We are well aware as a party how far we are in debt. We know that the only way that we can get out of debt today is by growing our economy and creating jobs. Today, we have 182,000 Albertans unemployed. We need to create an environment that is open for business again so we can get them back to work. That's revenue for us. And that's the only way that we're going to have services for one, but even do the debt servicing. And going forward, I think that we all agree that it's very important to not go into debt because we're making investment bankers around the world rich instead of investing right now $2 billion in interest charges into our own services.
Thanks, Martin. Travis Poirier, the Alberta Independence Party.
I had something in my notes about this, but I can't find it now. In order to get out of debt as Alberta as an independent nation would take us about 3 years. It's the current debt the NDP has with us right now. That's with increased spending, tax cuts, everything I had mentioned earlier. We could do it easily in 3 years and start running a $15 billion a year surplus as the nation of Alberta. So if we could keep our $40 billion a year that we now send to Ottawa, it would help a lot. I was talking to my nephew the other day. He said, "Uncle, is that 40,000 million?" I said, "Yes." It sounds weird when you say it that way, but it gives you an idea on how gigantic it really is, that number. Hopefully it helps.
Thanks, Travis. Christy Gamoka, Alberta Party.
I'm also concerned about the debt, and what I'm more concerned about is the current government as it stands right now is borrowing money to keep the lights on. I don't think that there's anybody in this building who thinks that putting your groceries on your credit card is good money management. That's going to take a while, and that's going to take a lot of investment to come back to Alberta, and we lost a lot of investment confidence throughout the last couple of years, and we need to bring that back, and we need to grow the economy in ways in which, from small businesses to large businesses to pipelines to, it has to be a real diversified way in which we tackle that issue. I highly suggest people, I think that maybe the gentleman here, he sent me a question about the Heritage Fund. I actually hadn't been paying much attention of it, and I'm pretty sure that there's some people in here who remember that that was supposed to be our rainy day fund. I think that you should look it up because there is hardly any money in there. There is pennies in there. And
Thanks, Christy.
Oh.
Hold that thought for your closing comments.
Okay.
Paul Lupacek, the Alberta Advantage Party.
Thank you, Brad, and thank you very much, Tracy, for the question. You brought up a remarkable statistic that I hadn't heard until just now. The what did you say, $100 billion by...
Sorry, 100 million.
100 billion, I think.
Let me read.
Yeah.
No, billion.
100 billion, as long as we got our facts straight. So the Alberta Advantage Party is clear that we're going to be reducing some personal taxes. We're going to be reducing business tax with the objective of growing business here. That can do great things for Alberta, but you had talked about the federal government as opposed to the provincial government. And is that what you were saying, the federal or provincial? Because you did say federal.
Sorry, and it was a report by the federal government about Alberta.
Fine. My statement stands. Reduce the taxes for individuals, increase the personal tax exemption to $22,250, I believe it is, and reduce corporate taxes. Let's stimulate the economy, let's grow, and let's continue to make things happen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tracy. I have 4 more questions in the basket. We'll get to all 4 of them, and then that will be it. Is that fair for everyone? Good. Please keep your questions brief and to the point. We're getting tight on time. So the next question. 15.
My name's Suzanne. I would like to hear how each of the candidates feel you can accurately represent the diversity in our region.
Thanks, Suzanne. Martin Long, Alberta. Doing that. United Conservative Party. Everyone else's party starts with Alberta.
Now I'm confused, but thank you. Thanks for the question, Suzanne. We are fortunate to live in a very diverse constituency. Obviously, we have a large resource sector between mining and oil field and forestry. We have a great tourism sector to benefit from as well. My work history and my ability to relate to people is what I'm relying on for helping me to figure out how to relate across this constituency. Coming from forestry and oil field, having a wife who works in the public sector, I think it very much benefits me in my approach to dealing with the different people and the diversity that we have in West Yellowhead.
Thanks, Martin. Paul Lupachuk, the Alberta Advantage Party.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Suzanne, for the question. As I mentioned before, my work experience is diverse. I've worked in nearly every corner of this province. I've worked in multiple industries. My partner in life, Sheena, God bless your soul, puts up with me on a regular basis, is a First Nations of the Cree Nation. I don't think that there is a part of this area that doesn't touch me one way or another, either in my past or hopefully in my future. I have family in the education system. I have family in healthcare. I have seniors. I have every possible influence in my life that is represented in this area. And I'll be your voice.
Thanks, Paul. Christy Gamoka, Alberta Party.
I think that if you strung up all the communities from Whitecourt all the way to Jasper, including Grand Cache, you would see that we have a diverse economy, we have a diverse constituency, and we have a diverse sense of political spectrum. And I can tell you that, you know, what people are talking about in Jasper is not what people are talking about in Whitecourt, and they're equally important. And I believe that the Alberta Party is made for a constituency like West Yellowhead, because we're a centrist party, and we understand that being in the middle means that we have the opportunity to meet all of those needs in each community.
Thanks, Christy. Travis Poirier, the Alberta Independence Party.
For me, it wouldn't matter if you were the custodian at the arena or the owner of a multi-billion-dollar international company. My door will always be open, my phone will always be on, my ears are open to your thoughts and concerns, and I will be a strong voice for everyone.
Thanks, Travis. Paula Cackett, Alberta NDP.
Thank you. We are a diverse riding for sure. Jasper and Whitecourt and everywhere in between, they don't compare to each other. But we can work together, and I can help by advocating for the local issues that are found in each area and community. Whether it be forestry, agriculture, the pulp mills, the tourism in Jasper, I'm willing to advocate for it all. And I think Rachel Malley has done a good job at diversifying our economy and bringing much more into it when oil prices were down.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paula. Thanks, Suzanne. Suzanne, you were 15, right?
Yeah.
16. Tracy.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tracy, and just want to know how each and every party up on the panel or today is willing to help all these homeowners that are struggling with theft that's in rural and within town.
Thank you, Tracy. Travis Poirier, the Alberta Independence Party.
Tracy, thank you. Well, with the Independent Alberta, you can take the number of RCMP and sheriffs that we currently have and multiply that by 2.2 will be the number of members of the Alberta Federation of Police Forces. So we're gonna over double our forces to ensure the safety of our, especially rural communities.
Thanks, Travis. Paula Cackett, Alberta NDP.
Thank you. Rachel's team has worked with the RCMP on successful new programs that put more boots on the ground in rural Alberta to fight crime and keep people safe, which I agree with you, it's very important. The RCMP says Rachel's plan reduced rural property crime by 11% in just 6 months. Despite that fact, UCP tried to stop this funding from happening and are voting against it in legislature. We're working with Rachel's team and We're working with people in our area and we will continue to support them and hopefully it will get better.
Thanks, Paula. Paul Lupacek, the Alberta Advantage Party.
Thank you, Brad, and thank you, Tracy. A topic near and dear to my heart, 15 years in law enforcement. My brother is one of the trainers at the Law Enforcement College in Edmonton. He works at the Fish and Wildlife Parks, sheriffs, etc. So this is certainly a topic that's near and dear. The Alberta Advantage Party has already said multiple times over that rural crime is a significant challenge for this province. One of the strategies that we put forward is additional funding for the sheriffs and full training to peace officer status with a directive for managing law enforcement in rural Alberta. We want to give them that full peace officer status so they don't have to contact the RCMP to come out and deal with stolen vehicles or stolen property, to deal with impaired driving, so on and so forth. Full arrest parameters and prisoner transport, etc. So that is our platform and I absolutely completely support that.
Thanks, Paul. Martin Long, United Conservative Party.
Thanks, Tracy, for the question. Rural property crime is a growing epidemic in our constituency. I've chatted with many farmers around Piers who their neighbors have been beaten senseless by people who have no right to be on their property, and the reason they were beaten is because they confronted those people. That sort of stuff is not acceptable for me, or it shouldn't be acceptable for any of us, I hope. We are already planning on hiring 50 new Crown prosecutors. We have to stop this trend of court cases going so long that court cases get dismissed. I believe a large part of solving our crime rate is actually for offenders to know that they will be prosecuted, and for people who are targeted to know that they can defend and have a right to defend themselves.
Thanks, Martin. And Christy Gomolka, the Alberta Party.
Rural crime in Alberta and specifically in West Yellowhead is up exponentially and it has to be dealt with, and it is something that I'm very passionate about. We want to increase policing services, and that includes looking at how bylaw, sheriff, Alberta sheriffs, and policing services can work together better in order to alleviate some of this crime. But moreover, we need to look at also how policing services are recruiting and retaining, because that's also an issue. We can say we want more cops, but the reality is that a lot of these areas are down 2, 3, 4 members, and that is putting a lot of pressure on each one of these communities through West Yellowhead, and that's straight across the constituency. And something that I think that is really quite cool about the Alberta Party is that we want to look at organizations like Citizen on Patrol and Rural Crime Watch to see how we can start taking a community approach to rural crime as well.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Christy. Okay. Number 12. Stuart.
I feel like I won. The coal industry is important to Alberta and this area. Provincially, coal, we have 40 to 50% of Canada's coal in Alberta, and it provides significant good quality jobs locally. What will your party do to support the coal industry?
Thanks, Stuart. Christy Gamoka, Alberta Party.
I support coal because I support Hinton and Grand Cache and all of the communities that use coal. I had the opportunity to be at a presentation by Bighorn Mining, and what I was so impressed at was some of their reclamation that they're doing, and they're going above environmental standards that are already set out. We can do mining in an environmentally friendly way, and we can do it responsibly, and I believe that.
Thanks, Christy. Travis Poirier, the Alberta Independence Party.
Here's another topic I'm not overly well versed on. Although we do highly push for the natural resources to be harvested, I guess you would say. We will encourage further growth of the coal industry for the better good of Albertans. How can we not with the technology we have nowadays? Okay, the cleaner burning, very low emissions out of our power plants, the ones we have now. I see no reason why we shouldn't push forward with coal.
Thanks, Travis. Paula Hackett, Alberta NDP.
Thank you for your question. Our government is supporting the coal mines. We have helped here in Hinton as well in Grand Cache with the coal mines. And as it is transitioned out, we will be providing the transition fund for workers, making sure that they do have a job as the coal is transitioned out. Thank you.
Thanks, Paula. Paul Lubachuk, the Alberta Advantage Party.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Stuart, for the question. Let's kill the carbon tax. Let's find some markets outside of Alberta. Let's find some markets at Tidewater. Let's allow our electrical companies to start burning coal again and get electricity back out to Albertans. Let's stop funding solar with our tax money. If solar's going to survive, let's let it survive. Same with wind. Let's let our industries continue to do what our industries have done cleanly, efficiently, and environmentally friendly for decades.
Thanks, Paul. And Martin Long, United Conservative Party.
I'm a bit of an electricity junkie. I have been adamantly opposed actually to the rapid shutdown of coal-fired power plants when we are sitting on such a valuable resource. We know that we have the environmental innovation in our province that those never should have been shut down that rapidly. We will actually stop that rapid shutdown, and the only way they continue to be shut down is if the federal government imposes that on us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Martin. Number 14, Mayor Marcel. Was there a number 1?
Yes.
It's not in the basket though. Was it you?
Well, it's not me, it's somebody who emailed a question into the chamber. I'm reading it on behalf of them.
Okay, so that's will allow that to unfold. Mayor Marcel, and then Tracy with the emailed question.
Thank you all for putting your name forward to try to represent our region. Communities like Hinton, Whitecourt, Edson, to name a few, struggle with huge infrastructure needs. There's really 2 ways to get money. Property taxes, which most people here don't want to go up, or we can ask the government for money, which we've heard a lot of promises through the year. You're gonna have this project coming, and they don't. What is your stance on the MSI funding, which is set to expire in 2021, and what kind of promises can you make where we can be assured that communities such as ours don't have to beg for money to build our communities? Thank you.
Mayor Marcel, raising provincial taxes so he doesn't have to raise property taxes.
Nice.
Paul Lubachuk, the Alberta Advantage Party.
Oh, you had to throw me to that one, didn't you? Mayor Marcel. May I call you Marcel?
Anything. Yeah.
Excellent. You can call me Paul. You asked a question about struggling infrastructure needs And it's interesting because the promises that we hear all over the news these days talk about twinning of a highway to Fort McMurray and building the QE2 that's going to be some massive thoroughfare. But we have lots of communities just like yours, just like Whitecourt, just like Edson, where the streets are falling apart. You can't drive down the hill in some of these communities without beating your head on the roof because of the bumps. We need to start focusing our money on the local priorities and then letting the local authorities decide where that money goes. So I don't know what you need, and I wouldn't know in Edmonton what you need. But when we give that money to you, then it's up to you to decide where it needs. And that's what we're a proponent of, is give the money out where it belongs and let you do with it.
Thanks, Paul. Christy Gamoka, Alberta Party.
I know a couple of mayors, so I'm not promising you anything myself. Mr. Mandel is a former mayor, and this has been a little bit of a passion of his throughout the election. So he has spent a lot of time with municipalities talking about what their needs are. We understand that MSI needs to change. It has to address the future infrastructure needs of each community, and it also has to address how these communities can deal with maintaining existing infrastructure. And so I think that we need to relook at the whole MSI equation. The other piece that has been clearly identified, and Mr. Mandel might bop me on the head if I didn't say it, is that he understands that rural communities have different pressures being put on them. And so we need to look at an equation that is different than the one that we have right now, that addresses some of those specific issues for rural communities.
Thanks, Christy. Martin Long, United Conservative Party.
Thank you, Your Worship. Best title ever, right?
That's better.
I agree with you. Municipalities require consistent, stable funding for infrastructure. Our goal is to work with your municipality, with all municipalities across the province, to create a new MSI. Unfortunately, and this is me just being me, we don't know what our economy will look like. So therefore, we don't know what that funding model will be like. But our goal is to engage with all the municipalities to ensure that it's stable and funding.
Thanks, Martin. Paula Cackett, Alberta NDP.
Thank you for your question. With talking to everyone during this campaign, I'd just like to compliment Hinton on its diverse economy. You really have shown how to diversify a community and economy when oil is down. You have the pulp mill and the coal mine and small businesses, tourism. You're doing a wonderful job. There will be alternate funding coming. Thank you.
Thanks, Paula. And Travis Poirier, the Alberta Independence Party.
Well, there's only a few things I can say on this, and that the independent government of Alberta will be able to buy all municipalities' debts off of whoever they have debt with now and give them 0% interest on repaying the government for those loans. Anything outstanding right now will be bought off at 0%. As well as we will be able to offer $36 million for the riding to do with your infrastructure and everything that's guaranteed for the first 5 years of an independent Alberta, and then more than likely it will go up. And honestly, an independent Alberta will be within, some say, the top 5 of the GDP in the world. So it's really something that excites me there.
Thanks, Travis.
Thank you, Mr. Board.
Ms. Tracy, last question of the evening.
So as I mentioned, I'm reading this question on behalf of an email, so I can't clarify it, but I can reread it. So, will the candidate and their parties commit to ongoing sustainable year-over-year funding for persons with developmental disabilities service providers at levels that recognize the true cost of service delivery to those that provide supports and strategies for adults with multiple challenges and disabilities.
First up is Paula Cackett, Alberta NDP.
Hi, thank you. We, as a government, are working for everybody, and we're putting energy and money into programs that will help people that are less fortunate or have disabilities, seniors and teachers, students, children. Everybody is on our radar.
Thanks, Paula. Martin Long, United Conservative Party.
Thanks, Tracy. Our government is focused on outcomes. We need to provide the quality of service and healthcare that people require. There's, unfortunately today, we're not getting those outcomes. We know that, and that's why we are so focused on, in our healthcare spending, making sure that that money gets to the frontline workers where it belongs, so people with those special needs continue to get the support that they need.
Thanks, Martin. Travis Poirier, the Alberta Independence Party.
Hi, thank you for your question. I have some facts somewhere lost in the abyss that I call my phone. I'm sorry, I don't have exact numbers for you. But with the increased spending by an independent Alberta government, will see disabled folks receiving almost 3 times the benefit they're receiving now, as well as our increased healthcare spending, less wait times. It'll be, I guess, a short answer for you for that question. Yes, we're going to look after our disabled.
Thanks, Travis. Christy Gamoka, Alberta Party.
I'm going to make the assumption that they are probably most likely talking about age payments, which has been somewhat of an issue, and PDD payments. And the Alberta Party would like to offer age payments at an index of the standard of living, so it stays with the actual prices that we're paying.
Thanks, Christy. And Paul Lupachuk, the Alberta Advantage Party.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Brad. We do have to make some assumptions in the question because they're not here to clarify. So if we were to assume that the age payments are the topic at hand, and that is something that our leader has already said, we will be looking at an index increase as well. If anybody has looked at my website, and I highly doubt you have, but maybe you might, on the bottom of my very first page, it says very clearly that I believe that we must, as a government, and government means governance, and governance means taking care of everybody, and we take care of our youth, we take care of our seniors, and we take care of our most vulnerable. And that is something that society is responsible for, and that's what your government is responsible for, and that's what I will be advocating for.
Thanks, Paul. That closes the round of questions from the public. We'll now give each candidate a minute and a half to make a closing statement, and we will be out of here by 9 o'clock. So the order for closing statements starts with Martin Long, the United Conservative Party. I lost track.
I'd like to again thank everyone for being here and taking part tonight. This upcoming election is likely the most important that Alberta has ever faced. The reality is that Alberta is struggling. We have the slowest economic growth rate in the country, and outside of the Atlantic provinces, we have the highest provincial unemployment rate. We have 182,000 unemployed Albertans, 35,000 unemployed youth. Our debt is spiraling out of control. Currently, it's almost $50 billion, projected to be at $100 billion by 2023. That means that we are spending almost $2 billion a year on interest payments, $5 million per day. That is money that needs to be invested in hospitals and schools and senior facilities across our province, and instead is making investment bankers in other countries rich. It's up to us to decide what direction our province will take. The United Conservatives are focused on what matters to Albertans: the economy and jobs, strong public services, accountable government, and leaving a better Alberta for future generations. For most of us, the decision is quite easy. For those who are still uncertain, I would challenge you to simply ask yourself if you feel you and our province are better off today than you were 4 years ago. Then ask yourself, which party do you think is best suited to lead our province on a path to recovery and ensure we have the future we deserve?
Thanks, Martin. Paul Lupachuk, the Alberta Advantage Party.
Thank you, Brad. For all of those who saw the rise of the Wild Rose Party over the years and then saw it go down in flames as the PCs consumed us, you probably did so with significant grievance in your heart. The Wild Rose Party stood for what Albertans believed. They really and truly were there for the people of Alberta, and we saw that remarkable rise. The Alberta Advantage Party is picking up where the Wild Rose left off. We can't call ourselves the Wild Rose for obvious reasons. UCP owns that name. But we are here to be a free vote and a free voice for you. And you might ask, what is a free vote? A free vote is somebody like myself who gets to sit in the legislature. I get to put in private members' bills that meet your needs. I get to have the conversations with people in the legislature to meet your needs and not stick up my hand in affirmation or to say yes when Ms. Notley says you will say yes, or when Mr. Kenny says yes or no. My free vote will represent what you believe, what you want, and what's best for the West Yellowhead. Not just Hinton, not just Jasper, but all of West Yellowhead. We need to see some jobs here, we need to see some seniors care here, we need to see better infrastructure. And the only way to get that is to have a voice in the legislature that is going to be there for you. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Christy Gamoka, the Alberta Party.
First of all, I want to thank the Hinton Voice and the Hinton Chamber of Commerce, as well as the Yellowhead Labour Council for hosting this event. This is one of 3, so I would like to also congratulate, I would like to congratulate my co-candidates for making it through the first of 4, so we're all in one piece, so that's good. I decided to run because I wanted to do politics different. We have seen one of the most divisive elections so far in our history, and I don't believe it has to be like that. I believe that we can have differencing of opinions and we can provide good policy going forward. I will personally advocate for the dwindling rural voice in Edmonton because that is important to me. I believe in these communities. I believe in what you have to offer this province of ours. I will fight for the things that matter to you. So I urge everybody to put party politics aside and let's just make some good decisions. Thank you.
Thanks, Christy. And Paula Cackett, Alberta NDP.
Thank you everyone for coming and putting on this event. A special thank you to my family for supporting me in this. There's been some long days. It's an honor to share this time with you on behalf of Rachel Notley. This important election is about a stark choice. Who is fit to be your premier, and who do you trust to be your premier? As someone born and raised in Jasper and as a nurse in Hinton, I can understand your issues. I've spoken with many people in the area, and a large percent of them have spoken about pine beetle infestation. This didn't come up tonight, and I was a little bit surprised. But as your MLA for West Yellowhead, I will work with you and all orders of government to mitigate the pine beetle infestation. I will stand up for the forestry and coal mining industries, and I will work with Rachel for completion of the pipeline. I will fight to protect good jobs at the pulp mill, and I will fight to keep taxes low for small businesses. I will fight for the growth within the tourism industry, and I will fight for affordable housing for all. I promise we will keep healthcare public for all and will not privatize, such as Kenny has suggested. Rachel's record is clear. She does what she promises: good jobs, good hospitals and schools, an honest government. Those are her priorities, and those are my priorities. You deserve nothing less. Thank you very much, and I can only ask for your support on April 16th.
Thanks, Paula. Did everyone get a kick at that? I feel like, Travis, you didn't.
No, you haven't got to me yet.
You are last, my friend.
Oh, that's for last. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Again, I had nothing prepared, but I just want you to think about $160 billion. That's how much we're going to send to Ottawa and never see again in the next 4 years. That's a lot of money, right? If you think about it, 1 million seconds is about 11 days. 1 billion seconds is 31 and a half years. It's a lot of years. Yeah, anyways, more to the point. With the immediate decentralization from Ottawa, that will spur 160,000 skilled jobs in Alberta in the first 4 years alone. Okay? I had points to this, but I'm lost. Sorry. Oh yeah, not a public speaker. Sorry, I'm not a politician. I am a hardworking Albertan. I am a farmer. I am a small business operator. Due to in the last 2 years, I've had to get a part-time job to help make ends meet. And I thought this would be the best use of my time to try to make sure that nobody else in Alberta had to go through that. I work 18-hour days on a short day is 18-hour days. And no Albertan should have to do that when we're sitting on what we're sitting on for what could be a prosperous Alberta. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Travis. And I guess firstly, I just wanted to mention one last time the sponsors and the organizers for the event, the Hinton District Chamber of Commerce, the Hinton Voice, and the Yellowhead Labor Council. Jarrett Dick from the Hinton Toastmasters Club for timing perfectly. And of course, to the candidates, congratulations to each of you. All the best on the rest of your campaigns. And thank you for, I know we were up against, I want to say 4 annual general meetings in and around the community tonight, and this is a pretty decent turnout. So thank you for coming, and don't forget to be at the polls on April 16th. Have a good evening.
Yeah, I know that.